Hello, everybody. Welcome to my weird and wonderful world. And I have a very important subject I want to talk about today that I can't believe I haven't spoken about this before. Because, okay, I'm just going to start from the beginning. You saw a little bit of what the thumbnail said, but I'm going to really. It's it's something that's important. Is a very important aspect to my personality of who I am and what makes me who I am today, and hopefully will give you some perspective on why I am the way I am in my videos. And I tell you, I give you the truth. Growing up, when I was a little boy, okay, I was a huge Star Trek fan. I'm wearing my Star Trek shirt. I was obsessed with Captain Kirk, Spock, and Bones. There's only two shows that I ever wanted to watch on TV. Any other show, I was be damned. Just Star Trek and Spider Man. Those were the two main things as a little kid. Growing up for the first 5 6 years of my life. I was obsessed with Star Trek and Spider Man. Whenever Star Trek was on, I wanted to watch Star Trek. It didn't matter if it was a rerun or not. And I felt so connected to the show, and then and then later on the cartoon, watching the eight, the animated series and all that cool stuff, and then finally there was a movie, and then the Next Generation came out, and then that was my trip. So to honestly say that Star Trek is my favorite show of all time would be kind of an understatement, and not just Star Trek, but all kinds of Star Trek. Now, unfortunately, I haven't kept up with Discovery, or I haven't watched any of the Strange New Worlds, and I haven't watched any. I only watched. I only have the first season of Lower Decks. If I see the other two seasons of Lower Decks, I definitely need to get those because I need to see more. I've been trying to avoid things on the internet about anything about Lower Decks, but just suffice it to say, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. I mean, for the whole run of Next Generation, I was obsessed. I mean, pretty much also kind of with Deep Space Nine and Voyager. I've seen everything of those, and then I wasn't able to catch the original run of Enterprise on TV, but I did. I did actually took them out of the library in Montreal. They're on the the Montreal Library, downtown Montreal, has a big multi-level building full of books and things of all kinds, and you could actually go and take out for 3 weeks. It could give you 3 weeks to take out a set of DVDs or even CDs of music that from the library. I find that is an awesome idea. And I might tell you, I would love, 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 love to donate my my uh my CD collection to the library after I pass. Yeah, I think that would be such a great idea. And this goes into this episode. But this is not what the episode is actually about. It's not necessarily about Star Trek. It's about why Star Trek was so important to me, and only later on figuring out. And I can't believe I didn't talk about this before, about about the lessons I was learning from Star Trek and why I was learning certain lessons and what it meant for my philosophy and understanding of humanity and everything. And then I learned that it was about the humanities. That Gene Roddenberry's was like a humanist. He believed in humanism, and I made some notes here, and yeah. So so Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek, being like believing so much into humanism, and then I look when I had looked that up about humanism, I and it's like yeah, yeah. So for me, I when I started looking into it, I immediately started adopting kind of that study. And that is pretty much what I study in life is humanitatis. And that basically stays like it's the study of humanities, the humanities or humanity, and so to take a dictionary of humanities, because I am a humanist, humanist, Star Trek. So, is any system or mode that, well, one, it's a noun, first of all. So, any system or mode of thought or action in which human interest, values, or dignity predominates. Two, devotion to or study of the humanities, studia humanitatis. Three, sometimes initial capital letter, as in, humanism, the studies, principles, and culture of the humanists. I don't know if that's actually correct. That's the spelling that I copied down when I looked when I kind of because I wanted to make sure that my values and my understanding of it. Sorry, excuse me. Why is my throat like that sometimes? Anyway, sorry. Anyway, I want to make sure that the definition corresponded to my definition, they're basically identical. So, and then the last one, four, philosophy, a variety of ethical theory and practice that emphasizes reason, scientific inquiry, and human fulfillment in the natural world, and often rejects the importance of belief in God. And it's about under it's about understanding. It should be understanding who we are and the world we're making together. And that's why I feel the study of the humanitatis, which is an ancient study that goes way back to to the like the Renaissance, way back when scientific discoveries were just booming and getting an insurgence and everything. So, and it's about studying, the past. The future is all muddy and murky, and it's dark, and you can't see too far in the future. But we can really look back and see how we lived and what makes us, who we are. We need that, and that's why I think like storytellers, people who can tell a good story are very important in society. Are they more important to say than maybe like a welder? Like somebody are welders more important than philosophers? Because we need philosophers to guide us into doing the right thing and being moral people and being, and having decency and treating humanity with equality and accepting other cultures and accepting other races. And when you really go and look at the meaning of humanism, and especially when you start when you're looking into the Studia Humanitatis, you start embracing and loving humanity in all its shapes and form, no matter who they are and what they're and where they come from. You know, and yeah, it's such a powerful motivator for me, and yeah, that's kind of well, I consider myself an armchair philosopher. You know, I mean, take the example of Albert Einstein, for example. It's not he didn't do any physical work to come up with the his general theory of relativity. No, that was all a product of him, using his imagination, using the humanities to embrace a a wider perspective of things, considering other possibilities. It really still, again, comes down to considering other possibilities, but embracing the humanities. And when I talk about the humanities, okay, not only am I talking about like the human history of of of, of what we make and how we do it, and using examples of greatness to make ourselves great, and promote, like, look, okay, going back to Star Trek. When you look at the Federation and how it and the 24th century, especially on uh, in Picard's era, you you saw how they 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 learned to get along. They learned to overcome their conflicts. I'm talking about the humans and the Federation themselves as a whole in general. Of course, there's still conflicts because their missions, their Starfleet is not really meant to be a militant, like, war, seeking war. They're more of a defensive and exploration more than anything else. But it's because they embrace the humanities as their backbone, as their core beliefs. It all stems back into the humanities. And when you're talking about the humanities, you got to perceiving the arts, which is an introduction to the humanities, and it covers all these basic, like, architecture, dance, film, landscape architecture, music, opera, painting, photography, printmaking, sculpture, theater, literature. This is so. I mean, I would love to get a better edition of this. I'm just going to quickly skim through it, skip the preface. Of course, the first chapter is, what are the arts and how do we respond to them? It's so important to understanding who. And I have read this, and I would love to read through it again. Even though it's an older edition, there's so much important information in this. I would love to get an updated edition, but it talks about art, why it's important for us to embrace cultures, and like, you know it's perception. It talks about perception, and how we perceive the world around us and the meaning of it. There's talking about some plays here, and stage productions, and whatnot. And so you skim a little bit. It talks more about art, and I want to get into a little bit more. Like, chapter 2 is the human process, the critic and the criticism, the roles that plays, the painter, the musician. This is really important. I need to reread this. The theater director. It's still in the human process. Continue pictures, where I'm in the pictures. So it kind of shows the grayscale of the color wheel. Then it gets into a bit of a color section, so it also shows you the color of the color wheel. Again, to appreciating art, fine art, and why. Again, that's maybe, like, yes, the world need welders. Yes, we need welders, but we need philosophers, and historians, and all these, and teachers, librarians, all the, music teachers. Yeah, like chapter 4, sculptures. I'm not going to dwell too much on that, I'm just going to skip through there. This is the chapter I want to get to. 5, mute on music, And you see, there's some highlights in red there that I did to this book, just because these are really important parts. I'm not going to read through this because I really don't want to make this episode much longer than like 20 minutes tops. Yeah. How is it put together thereby to, I'm going to just read this little section here, just quickly. Thereby to understand the creative communicative intent of the composer and the musicians who bring the composition to life, the ways in which musical artists shape the characteristics that follow bring us experience that can challenge our intellects and excite our emotions. As in all communication, meaning depends on each of the parties involved. Communicators and respondents must assume responsibility for facility in the language utilized. Music is composed through the designing of sound and silence. The latter is reasonably understandable, but what is the former? What is sound? Sound is vibrations that stimulates the auditory nerve. It includes sirens, speech, crying babies, jet engines, falling trees, and so on. We might call such sources noise. However, even noise may have a part in a musical composition. Cannons and even floor polishers have found their way into serious musical works. So we must be careful about what we include or exclude from sound in music, which I've always kind of said, that my definition of music is the process of transforming noise into sound, because noise can be disruptive, but sound can be considered a pleasant. That's just my take on it. But it teaches you certain compositional importance of music and the scales and notes and everything. Talks about some musical instrumentations, how to put it together in a meaningful way, and so on. Like consonants and dissonance, however, are not absolute properties. No, they are not absolute properties. Essentially, they are conventional and, to a large extent, cultural. What is dissonant to our ears may not be so to someone else. What is important in musical response is determining how the composer utilizes these two properties. Most of our music is primarily consonant. However, dissonance can be used for contrast, to draw attention to itself, or as a normal part of harmonic progression. Like for me, liking the microtones, like the microtonal stuff that King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard has done for 3 albums so far that I know of, and maybe a song here and there that I noticed that sounded microtonal, but I'm really digging that microtonal stuff. So yeah. Mm. So and then it goes into the chapter 6 with the theater, and then it goes into film. So where is that? Yeah, it goes into film. There's a special notation for that. Yeah, text for this chapter was prepared by M. Ellis Grove. Okay, blah. It's not important. Okay. So yeah, and narrative film, movement, cross-cutting, magnitude and convention. So it really dives into the humanities, and so I'm I'm highlighting that. Look, I even went so far because I'm trying to learn how to play how to play this keyboard thing, okay? And so what I ended up doing is I've taken those rub off letters and I ended up putting the notes. the notes there, and it's like okay, like it's like, but the black keys I don't need to label them because what is this? Is this a C sharp or a D flat? Or what's this? What's this? Is this a D an F sharp or a G flat? It can be either or depending on how you arrange it in your musical vocabulary. So so yeah, that's what I did, and there I'm gonna keep them on there until they rub off, and then maybe if I can't find some actual some lettering stickers that I can actually put on top of that might last a little bit longer and not rub off so easy. But yes, but that is the message of my video today is about is and this is basically the main focus of my video. Everything that this statement here encompasses, that is what I'm all about, and that's why I love people. That's why I embrace humanity. That's why I'm so open minded to other people and other cultures. And I learned that all from watching Star Trek, from Captain Kirk to Janeway to Archer to all of them, but especially Jean-Luc Picard, because yeah, the Star Trek: The Next Generation was epic. That I was obsessed. I did not want to miss a day, and whenever it was like postponed and exempted because of some political politician wanted to come in and blah blah blah, and I so, whatever, if it was whoever was president at the time, I forget, but they would come in and intrude, and yeah, and sometimes you would jump in already in progress, and that would then you would have to wait until in between season when they would still play the episodes, but the reruns of what just happened last season. So you can, if you can catch it again on the repeats when you're going through the episodes again. But then when the new season starts, and you're like, you don't want to miss anything because it was so gripping, and you love those characters. Those characters were so meaningful. Data, Picard, and that, they were mostly the focus, but it's Worf, and Barkley, Reginald Barkley. They kind of became two of my favorite characters on the show because they exemplified that they were prime example of the humanities, and how it applies to, yeah, no, it's such a learning tool that I think everybody should really, yeah, take heed on that. So I've talked more than I planned on talking right now, but it's such an important subject, and I wanted to make sure I was thorough and went through everything properly. So, okay, anyway, I'm just going to let you go. If you consider subscribing to my channel, I will greatly appreciate it. I will have a contest coming up very, very soon, and I'm just still hammering out the details. Once I get everything solid, I'm going to post it, and once I get the card, I still haven't gotten the cards yet, but I am going to be getting it soon enough. Like the next time I'm out and about, I will be getting that. I am going to be doing on Friday. I am going to be doing a hot chicken cooking thing there, another cooking video. And if I can't throw it in somehow this week, or next week, whether before or after, I do want to give you another cooking video of a recipe that I like to do here and there, just to give you some idea how I live and the things I do, to give you a peek into the humanities, so to say. Okay, so I'm just gonna go because I can, me, I could keep babbling, but I have to cut myself off. Everybody, please be safe. Take care. I will see you on the flip side. You know I love all of you out there. And peace, everybody. Have a great day, evening, night, morning, afternoon, wherever you be. Live long and prosper.